In the late 1990s, H&K developed a futuristic weapon system that would replace the M16 once and for all. The planned XM series of weapons were lighter weight and more reliable. It was an adjustable platform that you could transform into a larger caliber machine gun, so the platform, in theory, could fill multiple roles. It was like a transformer that turned into something useful instead of a car. Even better, it turned into my car. Some people think the XM series was a complete waste, and others think it was a missed opportunity. The project started as the XM29 Objective Individual Combat Weapon. It fired 5.56 rounds at about the same rate of fire and muzzle velocity as the M4, configured to also fire a 20mm high explosive Airburst projectile. It used a computer-assisted sighting system with an integrated laser rangefinder. The beast also had a thermal vision that was capable of 6 times magnification. There are mixed reviews on the integrated XM optic. The designers were planning on saving much of the production costs and weight by packaging the optic with the new weapon. Their proprietary optic would function as multiple accessories packed into one. And you wouldn't need separate like PEC 15s or anything, for instance. That function was built into the optic already. The rifle weighed 15 pounds when fully loaded, which is 5 pounds more than the M4 with the 203, but once you pop the ACOG and the PEC 15 laser system on it, then the M4 would actually weigh about the same as the XM series. The 40mm armed at a distance of 23 meters, and then it exploded on impact. It was as simple as that. The 20mm XM grenade was more complicated, which violated the sacred keep it simple stupid rule on which the entire army is founded. The grenade would explode in the air after being set at a distance and was reported to have less effect on target. H&K took everything that did work with the rifle and grenade launcher and they split it into 2 different weapons programs. The XM-8, which was an offshoot of the rifle, and the XM-25 standalone Airburst grenade launcher. Now, you'll probably meet people out there who have never even heard of the XM-25, even though it was adopted and put into use by the Army. I remember when the XM-25 was the new weapon on the block, everyone was talking about it. It had just been fielded to the Ranger units in Afghanistan. Everyone was waiting to hear when they could get their hands on one of those high-speed, standalone Airburst weapons. It was going to be a game changer. It helped that they gave the XM-25 a badass nickname, the Punisher. There were already enough Punisher tattoos and patches floating around the military, so everyone welcomed the weapon with open arms. The user could manually adjust how far the round detonated, so they could hit enemies hiding behind cover. It had a maximum effective range of 600 meters, which was an additional 450 meters further than the M249 grenade launcher. And that is exactly as cool as it sounds, hypothetically. In practice, it was a different story. I could do a whole video on the Punisher, but what essentially ended up happening was very disappointing and anticlimactic. The Army canceled the XM-25 after that Ranger unit in Afghanistan, field testing them, quickly decided against even carrying them on patrol because it wasn't seen as worth the trade-off of losing a rifleman. It wasn't as big of a waste as the Future Warrior program turned out to be. We all know why they canceled that billion-dollar project when they found out what soldiers were really looking at in the helmet visor. Another reason the XM series might really have been canned was some behind-the-scenes shady business. There are rumors floating around out there that the only reason it wasn't adopted was because a certain powerful gun manufacturer with vested interests lobbied hard against the XM-8. But of course they did that. It's their job to do that. So I don't buy that the XM-8 was canceled for that reason. Now we know why the XM-25 failed, but what happened to the XM-8? It had the ability to switch to being a BIPOD support weapon fired from a 100-round drum. The problem was drums have a history ever since the Thompson machine gun of being unreliable, incredibly heavy, awkward to carry, and an all-around pain in the In a fit of overconfident joy, H&K wanted the XM platform to also replace the personal defense role. This doesn't surprise me at all. The Army is obsessed with this fever dream idea that they can fill 3 weapon roles with 1 type of weapon and round. I love the new bazooka, but can you find a way to make it also fire 9mm rounds so it can replace the pistol? And can you also have it fire rifle rounds? And we're gonna need a variant of it that you can change in the field to also be a submachine gun. That would be perfect. The best thing about the XM-8 is the incredibly low stoppage rate. The rifle is tested over and over again as #1 in dust tests compared to the FN SCAR and the HK416. The XM-8 only had 127 stoppages in 60,000 total rounds fired. The M4, for comparison, had 882 stoppages. If you're anything like me, you love the Picatinny rail system. It gives you the user the freedom we've come to expect with setting up our guns. So what if I want 3 knives on my weapon? It's 2020, don't tell me what to do. You'll be sad to hear the XM-8 completely ditches the Picatinny rail system for what's called the Picatinny combat attachment point instead. This functioned on small holes on the forward grip where you could attach accessories onto it. That is such an Apple move right there. I can't stand it. Let me guess, I have to get a proprietary charger for my XM-8 too, and it costs 50 bucks and it's only sold at one store. They proposed that they could add even a round counter. Yes, they literally wanted to add a system to the weapon that would have tracked the number of rounds fired from a specific weapon, the date and time for each time the trigger was pulled. No more claiming you didn't have that negligent discharge. Now my squad leader can check on a wireless PDA and instantly see I fired into the ground accidentally at 1400 hours at grid coordinates November Bravo 148. Then he can send a digital counseling statement to me using that same iPad. Isn't technology wonderful? The other side of the argument is, of course, in case they wanted to get better research on the results and performance of a weapon, or if a soldier got separated from their squad and command wanted to know exactly where they were and what kind of engagement they were in so they could respond correctly. The XM-8 was eventually canceled completely by the Army. It might have been a slightly better rifle than the M4, but not better enough to justify the huge pain it would have been to replace all of the accessories and millions of rifles. It has found some love in the Malaysian armed forces where they plan to purchase the rifle and adopt it.